Hello everybody, Andrew Fantasia here. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and give some love to that subscribe button as well. Once again, in case you missed the news, I wrote a bookie wook right here. This is my novel Side Scroller. It's an adventure, sci-fi romance set in a world that runs entirely on video game logic, and you can pick up a copy of Side Scroller for your very own on Amazon. Amazon.com, .ca, .uk, wherever you live, Amazon's got you covered, honey. And you can get it in paperback or ebook formats, depending on how you like to do your reading. Pick up a copy now. Be sure to leave a review on Amazon. It'll help me out a lot. This video essay is something I've been looking forward to making for a long time. And I wanted to make sure I gave it the proper amount of oomph that I think it deserves. Because this is something that has always been on my mind. I want to talk to you about new ideas. And specifically ask the question, are new independent properties going extinct? In 1977, the world saw Star Wars for the first time. And cinema's never really been the same since. In 1994-ish, I saw Star Wars for the first time with pretty much the same effect. Now, since then, Star Wars has morphed into this absolutely enormous multimedia juggernaut. Part of the allure of Star Wars is that there's really nothing else like it. It's a dense, sweeping epic of a saga with thousands of characters, hundreds of worlds, and infinite possibilities. So for many, many, many years, I've been looking forward to a vague prospect that I can only describe as the next Star Wars. What I mean by that is I want another movie to come along, a new independent property set in an imaginative sci-fi fantasy world that becomes a big franchise of its very own, and it takes our world by storm, that it eventually becomes so beloved and so popular that it is worth speaking of in the same breath as the adventures of Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. Unfortunately, as more and more time goes by, I'm starting to become afraid that that's just never going to happen. At least, not in my lifetime. Sure, we have lots of absolutely amazing film franchises right now that are oozing with creativity and fun. The Lord of the Rings and Hobbit films are stunning, dense, 3-hour-long adventures that still manage to hold up even after all these years. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe is pumping out 3 gorgeous, well-written, candy-colored fantasy sci-fi epics every year with no signs of slowing down. All of these movies are outstanding examples of just how good big-budget genre blockbusters can be. We're lucky to have them. But the problem is, Peter Jackson didn't invent the Hobbits, or the Nazgul, or Aragorn, son of Arathorn. J.R.R. Tolkien did, almost half a century before the movies were made. And Kevin Feige and all the folks at Marvel Studios are really creative people, but they didn't come up with any of the worlds that their 22 very different movies take place in. It's all just adaptation. It's very, very good adaptation that, in my opinion, puts the source material to shame, but adaptation nonetheless. No, what I'm looking for, what I want in my heart of hearts, is a new epic saga built entirely from the ground up. A saga that, like Star Wars, begins in the realm of film. The literary world is full of intriguing new epic sagas. Everyone loves Harry Potter and Game of Thrones, but we have the books to thank for that. One of the movies of 2018 that absolutely floored me with how many fun new ideas it presented was Mortal Engines, which is also based off a book. Seriously though, nobody saw Mortal Engines, but if you like film creativity and world building as much as I do, or even half as much as I do, you owe it to yourself to go watch Mortal Engines. On Netflix, Bird Box is still taking planet Earth by storm with its intriguing premise, but it's also based off a book. There's insanely creative world building to be found in novels like The Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson or The Gentleman Bastards by Scott Lynch. Plenty of people out there have been wielding the same kind of creative mojo that George Lucas wielded circa 1974. They've just been doing it in the world of the page rather than the world of film. That's how it's been for generations. There was a point when the world of film really started to pick up the slack, but I think that point is behind us now. And that makes me sad. In short, I'm afraid that Hollywood has become the place where new ideas go to die. I get it. Money talks. The movie industry is a business, and businesses care about making money. It's that simple. Nobody in the industry is going to throw $250 million at a new idea because nobody in the movie industry wants to risk $250 million on something that doesn't already have an audience. That's just the way it works. It's a fact that we've all accepted, but that doesn't mean we have to like it. And that doesn't mean it's a good thing. Because if that mentality existed 40 years ago, we probably wouldn't have lightsabers today. So I can't help but wonder what future generations are missing out on just because people today are too scared to give fresh ideas a fair chance. That's why every year I make it a point to see as many new and original movies as I can. I want to give all of these new stories a chance because I'm hoping and I'm praying that at some point one of them is going to break new ground and become another generation-defining event like Star Wars was. New genre films are coming out all the time, but they're still few and far between. And even though some are successful, and some even begin all new franchises, none of them have the impact or lasting power of a Star Wars. And I wish that weren't the case. The world could use a few more things as wonderful as this. While researching for this episode, I decided to try a little experiment. I wanted to see how many new IPs in the sci-fi fantasy genre we have gotten in the new millennium. So, starting with the year 2000 all the way up to the present, I went digging around to try to find as many of them as I could. After a lot of digging and double-checking and triple-checking, I finally found as many of the mainstream ones as I possibly could. You ready? Okay. Here they are. It looks like a lot, doesn't it? But then you remember that I searched through 18 years worth of movies, and I can still fit all the results in this one single image. It's also worth noting that in the years 2002, 2005, 2006, and 2016, I couldn't find any results at all. Now remember, we're looking for lack of a better phrase, the next Star Wars. So, for the next step of this experiment, let's take away all the results that didn't end up spawning their own sequels and franchises. That leaves us with this. Sorry, Avatar, you keep saying you've got sequels coming out, but I'll believe it when I see it. Now that doesn't leave us with very much, does it? That's a total of 9 new franchises. Now at this point, curiosity got the better of me and I may have gone a little crazy. See, I wanted to try to draw some kind of comparison. So, I chose a decade from an era of the past, and the decade I went with was 1977 to 1987. I chose the year that Star Wars first came out up until 10 years later. Using the same criteria as before, I searched that decade to see how many new IPs Hollywood gave us then. And since this essay is about finding the new Star Wars, I didn't include the original Star Wars in this list. The results? Well, after a bit of digging, I found these. And these. And these. And these. The total, 61. 61 new ideas in the span of 10 years. And remember, when we searched the new millennium, 18 years worth of movies, we only found 25 results. So if you've been keeping track, that's 61 new IPs in 10 years versus 25 new IPs in 18 years. So at the end of the day, where does that leave us? Well, not in a great place creatively, at least as far as movies are concerned. But that, I think, is where the saving grace of this dilemma can be found. Maybe cinema isn't the place to go for new epic genre ideas anymore. But that doesn't mean those ideas have stopped coming. I think they've just downsized to a smaller screen. If you want to see where all the big sci-fi fantasy ideas live now, I don't think you need to look any further than your television set. Since the dawn of the new millennium, TV has been a veritable breeding ground for all kinds of big ideas. And those ideas have taken shape and left an impact on the entertainment world that we're still feeling today. Just look at shows like Dollhouse, Person of Interest, Fringe, Firefly, Heroes, Futurama, Rick and Morty, Stranger Things. Shows where the creators took their imaginations to new heights and gave us complex narratives we could follow week after week. Hell, Black Mirror builds us a new world from the ground up every single episode. Sure, nothing on the big screen carries the same weight as Star Wars. But if you want to see the kind of world building and epic sweeping storytelling that would make George Lucas blush, then all you'd need to do is fire up an episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender or Lost. Both of these shows feature gorgeous storytelling, amazing characters, and universes so rich you'll need an encyclopedia to keep track of everything. The heart of creativity doesn't beat here anymore. It beats here. New stories are always going to be told. New ideas are always going to push boundaries. The beauty of the human condition is that we need new stories to keep fueling the fire of our culture. Without them, well, we'd probably end up in a world a lot like Ernest Cline's Ready Player One, a world where no one ever makes anything new, and instead they just look back wistfully on what used to be once upon a time. Thankfully, I don't think we'll be reaching that point of dystopia anytime soon. So watch new things. Listen to new stories. Take a chance on something that doesn't already exist. Future generations will thank us for it. As long as we keep those fires of creativity burning, new IPs aren't going anywhere. That's just the way I feel. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Either way, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter, so please chime in those comments and let me know. But that has been this video essay here on Thumb Together. My name is Andrew Fantasia. Thank you so much for tuning in. The Fanny Awards are right around the corner. I'm working on them as we speak. So I'll be seeing you soon for some glitz-filled award-giving shenanigans and more movie reviews and video essays and all the fun stuff you love. Until next time, my friends, I bid you a most humble adios.